Hey students and families, this is the lesson that we did on Thursday, September 14th for pre-algebra. It was entitled Number Lines. So look at your notes, and if you have a lesson that has, well, first of all, if you're not in pre-algebra, exit out and go find a video that matches your C notes, but otherwise make sure that your C notes say number lines. So we started this out by talking about our essential question, and our essential question is, how can I graph the opposite of an integer? So a couple of vocabulary words that hopefully by the end of this lesson we'll be able to define is graph, opposite, and integer. So let's kind of start with some of that vocabulary. So positive numbers are going to be greater than 0. So these are all numbers like counting numbers, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, any number that's greater than 0. So greater than. They can be written with or without the positive sign. So kind of the thing to think about is if I say, okay, I'm 12 years old. We know that I'm a positive 12. I don't have to write that plus sign there for you to know that it's a positive 12. We infer that that plus sign is there. You don't need this plus sign. Negative numbers are then if the opposite of that, so they are less than 0. They are written with the negative sign. You have to write that. If I were to say it's negative 40 degrees out, but put it like that, it's going to make it sound like it's a lot warmer than it is. But if we have negative 40 degrees, we'll know that it's very cold. Let's see, two numbers that are the same distance from 0 on a number line, but on opposite sides of 0 are called opposites. So the way that I kind of talked about this in class is that idea of, we know what opposites are. If I say up, you know the opposite of up is down. If I say good, you know the opposite of good is bad. In mathematics, we talk about this kind of central general location of being 0. So in language, when we say opposites, there's got to be some sort of neutral. So in kind of a continuum, if you are on a scale of, if you're on a scale of bad and good, there has to be some like okay, and that okay is kind of your central medium or neutral way of being, and it goes positive, and the opposite of it is bad, negative. So in mathematics, this neutral or this okay is 0. So integers, this is going to be our last vocabulary word, integers. Integers are the set of whole numbers. Sorry, I'm going to do this. That's not a hashtag. That means numbers. If you need to, you can write numbers. And their opposites. Okay. So what the idea behind that is we have positive whole numbers and their opposites. So the opposite of 1 is -1. The opposite of 2 is -2. The opposite of 3 is -3. The opposite of -4 is +4. So notice that we're in integers, we're only talking about the whole numbers. We're not talking about all of these numbers that are on the in between these numbers. Another real key thing to keep in mind is that 0 is neither negative nor positive. It's its own opposite. So if I say, is this negative, you'll say yes. Or what is the sign of this? Positive. What's the sign of this? It's both positive and negative. I'm sorry, it's neither negative or positive. So it's also its own opposite. So if I say what's the opposite of -1, you say 1. What's the opposite of 2? You say -2. But what's the opposite of 0? It's 0. It's its own little kind of weird number. All right. So let's kind of do, so we're going to write a positive or negative integer that represents the situation. And then we're going to underline the words that help us to know if it's positive or negative. So A hiker climbs 900 feet up a mountain, and in class, I kind of acted out my hiking up a mountain, but I'm gonna draw a picture of a person. They're hiking up this mountain, and so they're going up the mountain. So up means, you know, if I think about like on a thermometer, right? If the temperature is going up, it gets more positive. So we know that it's a positive, and then we're gonna just look for our integer, which is 900. So we have positive 900, and the words that told us or helped us were the word up and probably the word climbs, because I know climbs is I'm going up a mountain. I don't know why I used red pen either, I'm sorry. Let's see. You have a debt of $24. So a debt means that I owe somebody money. So you bring me shopping, or you and I go shopping, and I see a movie that I really want to buy, but I don't have any money, so you buy it for me, and now I owe you $24, or I am in debt to you $24. So because it's O and I have less money, and I don't, you know, if I'm starting at 0 and I owe you, I know that I'm in the negative. So I know that I'm negative 24 or negative 24. Okay. A student loses, oh yeah, we underlined the debt. A student loses 5 points for being late to class. So I know that this word right here, probably this word, both of those are negative things, so I know that I'm gonna be negative 5. A savings account earns, that's a positive thing. Earning money is a positive thing, so I know that it's a positive 10. Okay. You could think of a negative sign as referring to the opposite of a number. For example, you can read -2 as, the opposite of 2. All right, now we're gonna graph some integers. So this is where we're kind of getting into this vocabulary word of graph. So a graph is just a visual representation of numbers. So I need to graph this negative, or this 3 and its opposite. So I need to make sure that I have both 3 and its opposite, -3, on here. So I'm gonna start with -4. -4, and then I'm just gonna keep marking my number line here. And then I'm gonna go across until I get to 3. So I'm gonna stop when I get to 3, and I'm just gonna put a dot. And then I'm gonna do the same thing for its opposite, which is -3. And then I'm gonna show that they are equal distance from 0. Okay, so now I'm gonna do number 2. So, or number B, letter B. So now I have a -2, so I need to make sure that I get -2 and its opposite. So I'm gonna start with -3. And I'm gonna go to -2, and its opposite is 2. And I'm gonna show that it's equal distance from 0. Now it's your turn, so I'm hoping that you can do these 2 by yourself. All right. If you haven't, pause our video and do these 2. Okay, so now we're gonna choose any positive integer. So I'm gonna choose the integer 3. What's the opposite of 3 is what this question is asking me. So the opposite of 3 is -3. And now I'm gonna find the opposite of the integer in part A. So the opposite of the opposite, and that's gonna be also 3. What can I conclude about the opposite of an integer? Is it true for all integers? Use a number line to justify my answer. So what we're gonna do here is I'm gonna start with -4. I'm just gonna graph my problem. and then I have 3. So I started with 3, and its opposite is -3. And its opposite of its opposite is +3. So what I can conclude about the opposite of an opposite is the opposite of an opposite is itself. It's kind of a weird question, but it should be pretty easy to figure out. Your next job is to just then answer this question, summarize this question. Basically, the idea is, how do we graph the opposite of an integer? Well, what I do is I'm going to make sure that I'm going to label my number line, make sure that both itself and its opposite are shown. I'm going to put a plot on our number. I'm going to put a plot on our opposite, and I'm going to connect them to show that they're the equal distance from 0. But I want you to put that in your own words, and you can put that right down there. Let me know if you have any questions. You know how to email me. If not, my email is, I'm going to write it down here. All right. I hope you have a great day.